Like I planned any of this.
All right, here we go. Hopping into the game. All right, and we see Josh is on the play here, having been the higher standing, undefeated in Swiss.
Yeah, has not lost a match this entire event. Can he go all the way?
Really strong run we're about to see. This hand looks, I mean, it's fine. It could find some stuff. I think it's the type of hand you have to keep, but you're not incredibly excited about from Malloy. Just some lands and sort of some things to cycle. The agent's kind of not relevant super early. But Team Rex hand looks amazing.
Yeah. Notably,
no green source.
Yeah, no green mana just yet, but you have a negate, you have a dispute, which are definitely the cards you want to be finding early in this matchup.
Yeah, exactly. Double counterspell. The Scorching Dragonfire is kind of dead. The Blast Zone might do something interesting.
I mean, Dragonfire could still pick off a Teferi if Jay Malloy finds a way to slip one in.
That's true. It hits Planeswalkers.
So not entirely useless. Looks like we're sending a land, essentially 2 lands to the bottom of the deck here with this Scry. Find an Omen of the Sun off the top.
Yeah, Omen's a good pickup.
And still no green mana over there for Wappa.
Yeah, I wonder if that's actually going to end up being an issue. They don't really have any way to cycle through their deck to find it either.
All right, tap land for Jay Malloy. Going to come across for 2 points of damage. And ship things right back to Wappa.
Yeah, see the green source here, but without it, his hand is kind of just going to have to lean on these counter spells here. But Malloy doesn't have a whole lot going on.
No, not a ton. Just kind of slowly playing out lands, working towards this agent. And that's about it. We might even just see a Scry from Josh here.
I'm thinking we see a cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's reasonable.
The opt is a really good pickup here. Hopefully dig you towards the green source.
Yeah, because as soon as Wappa finds a green source here, gets this Reclamation down, suddenly has their big mana unlocked, and presumably has it before Malloy finds fires. And Narset, I don't actually know how annoying Narset is for Reclamation. Like, they can opt on their opponent's turn, usually, if there's no Teferi, so it doesn't really stop that. Explosion's lethal when they go to draw cards. Maybe the, like, value explosions, it's annoying to shut off. But it looks like it's going to earn a counterspell here regardless.
Yep. Wappa decides to use the Mystical Dispute. Get rid of that Narset. Follow-up is the Birth of Meletis. Gets a Plains out of the deck and ships things right back to Wappa. And stepped off. Looks like he's going to send a Steam Vents to the bottom of the deck, really looking for that green source, and he finds it.
There it is.
Top. We have a game.
Yeah, and Malloy had tapped out, so this is just an uncontested Reclamation. Get to put in an extra land as well. Finding a Shark Typhoon, which I imagine is just going to be cast for 6 next turn, and then when the land's untap, the rest of the interaction makes threats. And with no Teferi on the other side of the board, there's no reason, like, Wappa's access to this mana generated by Reclamation isn't contested in any way.
Yeah, so one of the things, though, for playing out this, if you hard cast this Shark Typhoon without counter magic for the agent, there is a risk that it gets taken.
That's true.
And it could end up being a problem. We'll see if that ends up being the case.
Yeah, I wonder.
A pretty good Blast Zone here.
How many counters is it at?
The one still in play is at 1 counter.
But he used it to stop the omens, right?
Yeah, he used the one that was set to 2 to blow up the omen and the birth in response to the Yorion to cut down on the value there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Looks like we're opting a expansion explosion to the bottom of the deck. Find a steam vents off the top. Shocking it in. This looks like a turn here where we're going to float a bunch of mana and cast a big expansion explosion.
Yeah, I guess your only worry here, if you try and go to draw a bunch of cards, is a... well, I guess you don't have a worry because this is game 1, right? You're the one playing counterspells. Malloy doesn't have access to Mystical Dispute game 1, so you can just sort of fearlessly fire this off, pick Yorion, draw a bunch of cards.
How good is a Wilderness Wreck if Malloy can steal it? I think you probably do this here with Agent then. I mean, it depends what gets picked up here off the explosion, but I mean, I wonder about how good it might be.
All right, here's the next.
Taking it away from your opponent, I think, is the main thing, but it could be quite strong. Like, I don't think I've seen Fires and a Reclamation in play at the same time. They're kind of non-bows, but
2 Mystical Disputes picked up off the expansion explosion.
And 2 Shark Typhoons.
Yeah.
Ooh. See, now you can just start playing out Shark Typhoons kind of, you know, you have so much protection for them that you just let them start taking over the game. I wouldn't be surprised if we just see like Typhoon untap, next turn Typhoon untap.
Yeah, Malloy's draw here not particularly great, although these tokens are doing a lot of work. So instead of playing the agent, the other way to play around this, of course, is to just cycle your Typhoon and try and do some damage that way. But of course, there's Typhoons on the other side, so it's really tough. But just tapping out for agent might feel a little too clunky. We might see Malloy actually decide to do something else.
Yeah, that's true. We've seen Malloy play patiently throughout this tournament, and so saving agent for a time where you grab something really important and really swingy, or where you know it's going to resolve, could be what he opts to do, and it seems like that's what he's doing, just passing back. Got a lot of cards to work through, though.
Oh, it's going to be a tough one. Oh, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, it's doable, but yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, there's kind of this glimmer of hope of these tokens getting in since WAPA's only at 8, but I don't know how much of how out of reach that is.
Blargosity, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub. Larg says, "Go, Josh Joe, go." They'll hear this in 7 minutes from now.
Yeah, after everyone sees it in chat already. You pronounce that Blargosity? I was saying it as Blarghosty in my head for so long.
Definitely got to be Blargosity.
Yeah, all right.
I like this attack. This is good. This is a chance. I mean, you can put maybe enough pressure on here that you can play around this counter magic with your own Shark Typhoons. I mean, this is possible that Malloy might steal this one.
Yeah,
which I think he has no right doing, but he might.
Super close. Yeah, wow. This is... Because now, like, the plays that I wanted to make aren't great. Like, if you Sharks Typhoon here on, like, just casting it, you might not be able to cast your counter magic, so you're not guaranteed to make those Sharks. I like Uro just holding up counter magic here. Like, it gains you some life.
Well, this might be
your Typhoon.
An Uro, right?
Oh, shocking is interesting.
Yeah. Like Adam mentioned, WAPA just going for Uro, gaining 6 life. Drawing some cards.
I imagine this Casting the Gross Power with mana floating.
All right, here comes a big shark for Jay Malloy. Six hitting the battlefield. Notably, though.
Ooh, Teferi is a big one. Ooh. I mean, it gets negated, but that also means that Wappa can't spend all of their mana to make a shark big enough to eat the 6/6.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, there's that negate.
Game's much closer than I expected it to be.
Yeah, but now this Sharknado is on chump duty, right?
Exactly, where before you cast that negate, that shark you were able to make would have been a 7/7. And now you're just forced to chump with a 5/5 shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine you just make a 1/1 to be safe if you're chumping anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You just want to put the 1/1 shark, and then you can hold up disputes still, and that's what we're going to see. Yeah, really tight play on both sides here. Gonna have to really hope this Uro can take you home, though.
Yeah, like, it doesn't look like it's going to. If all you have is an Uro with this 6/6 in the air, you need to find something else to do.
All right, here's a cycle on a Triome. Birth off the top.
And I imagine we're going to see an end step scry with the Omen, but it's going to depend here what the Uro can get done, I think.
Looks like we're seeing an upkeep scry from Wappa.
Yeah, a little nervous about the position, yeah.
Ooh, Brazen Borrower, almost a perfect draw.
Absolutely.
Brazen Borrower, just insane here.
Yeah, it gets rid of the shark, leaving a land on top to put into play with Uro. The Uro's going to stick around now to stop the 1/1s. I imagine we'll see this land get shocked in to leave up both Brazen Borrower and Mystical Dispute. Oh, no, it doesn't matter because of Wilderness Reclamation. They can just put it in tapped. My bad.
Yeah.
Silly me, thinking that a deck has only 3 mana left. I like doing this now because if they have like their own Mystical Dispute, you can pay for it. Oh no, it's still game 1.
All right, 2 lands to the bottom. And Narset off the top.
Not bad. Not bad at all. It's just gonna die.
All right, Jay Malloy goes for the agent. It's gonna meet a Mystical Dispute.
Grabs the last plains. So future births are kind of medium now.
All right, big couple draw steps here for Wappa. It's not out of the woods yet. Oh, and that's an expansion explosion on the top of the deck.
Oh boy, that might do it. That might be all she wrote.
Yeah, Wappa with the good game. The fact that Josh has only a single white mana up. Nothing to interact here.
It's going to be a lot of damage and a lot of cards.
Yeah, I haven't actually counted, but clearly Wappa has a lot of experience with this list. And if they're saying good game, then it's probably lethal.
Yeah, explosion for exactly 20.
Yeah. And letting Malloy draw as well. All right, so that was a game that we expected Wappa to win, and then it looked like it might have slipped away from him. Malloy with some important draws there, and Shark Typhoon into Shark Typhoon to sort of generate enough pressure through counter magic. But ultimately, Wappa was able to find things to deal with those sharks and then stabilize and win out as we were sort of expecting. But a much more impressive play from Malloy there than we were, considering he would have.
And some quick swaps out for Jay Malloy. Pretty confident in his plan for the matchup. Same for Wappa. And we're ready to hop right into the next game.
Yeah, definitely just watch Malloy just bring in those Dovin's vetoes as quick as possible.
Pretty decent opener here for Malloy. Double Dispute, Omen of the Sea, 3 lands. Pretty good.
Yeah, and that was actually Wappa winning on the draw, game 1. So that's pretty important for Wappa's chances this match.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that's a Glass Casket as well for Malloy. Pretty good against Uro, one of the cards that can help dig them out of those situations. So hate to see an agent draw there.
Tries to cast it. Luckily, there's an electronic judge around.
All right, Omen of the Sea. Let's take a look at the scry. Fires of Invention, Sacred Foundry.
Fire's pretty awkward here.
Yeah, it's tempting because it's kind of like what your deck's built around, but you have 2 disputes in hand that it turns off. Decides to keep it for later, though, looking to deploy the disputes first.
All right. Dispute found off the top for Wappa. Pretty good draw.
Yeah, just let the counter war begin.
Do you play fires here anyway to eat a counter spell? Confident that it won't resolve and you'll still have your disputes?
That's actually interesting. That would have been a crazy play.
I feel like it's probably
the negate at it.
I don't think you want to give your opponent a window there to resolve a Reclamation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a sweet play, but not if it lets your opponent fire back with a Reclamation.
It's just whether you think they'll counter it or not, right?
It's one of those really risky bluffs that is sweet when it works, but probably wasn't correct.
All right. Token being made with Castle Ardenvale. Both players just playing draw go.
Do we see the Castle Ardenvale start to do some work this game, though? Just sitting behind this counter magic and making 1/1s, it might be pretty good. I don't know if there's there's not going to be flame sweeps probably on the other side.
Taking a look.
I'm actually curious about that. I didn't check. I wasn't looking closely enough to see if it got boarded out, but we've seen other people keep in similar effects against Lukka, so Wappa might have them.
All right, Wappa scries that expansion explosion to the top. Shocks in the steam vents and ships it back to Malloy.
In the land of the counterspell, Castle Ardenvale could be king.
Oh, Shansky coming in, gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Gifting them to My Bad Mario, Tibergomi, GP Scoop, Nemiko, White Tiger. Thank you very much, Shansky. You're the best. Appreciate you.
Let's go.
You're a wizard, Harry.
We just have a pretty good economy and ecosystem here of cash, Shansky donates subs, then he wins cash back from us.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I can just hear the "You're a wizard," Harry. It's so great.
You're a wizard, Harry.
All right. Reclamation, Growth Spiral to the bottom of the deck off that scry.
Does this castle just steal this game?
Yeah, maybe. No one's doing anything else.
Don't have to.
Yeah.
You have
exactly.
castle.
Negate Fabled Passage to the bottom. Blast Zone off the top. That doesn't help.
Yeah, not an answer to tokens. And Malloy seems completely content to just castle every turn. Well, now going for an Omen, but...
Yeah, trying to hit some land drops, guarantee some land drops, I think. Oh, maybe not. Yep.
Yeah, just taking both. Oh yeah, still hasn't a castle activation.
Now we're on 3-turn clock. I mean, the Brazen Burrow can slow that down a little, but is that really the game you're trying to play? I mean, it's got to feel really bad.
Yeah, I don't think you're happy if you just have to Brazen Burrow 1/1s and still don't really have answers to them.
I think that's what we're about to see.
All right, here's
Not what I was expecting this game, but
here's a Thassa's Intervention for 4, leaving up 3 mana to play around Mystical Dispute.
Now we see Josh.
Not a great Thassa's Intervention, just 4 lands there.
Well, I mean, that dodges 2 of those, and one of them is a cycling land.
Literally none of these cards do anything.
Spinning our wheels.
Can Expansion Explosion a 1/1 for 1?
I mean, a Sharknado start.
It does something.
Kind of.
Sharknado, interestingly, blocks. I was going to say interestingly, doesn't get answered. No, it blocks once, and then it gets glass casketed.
Yeah, exactly. Also, just blocking isn't enough anymore. There's too many tokens.
Yeah, that's true. You have to find something like Flame Sweep and hope they're still in the library. Maybe this was a oversight in sideboarding from Wapo, or maybe this game's just like an anomaly.
This feels like a bit of an aberration, maybe, but I'm not sure. I mean, the castles are just so powerful here. I mean, I wonder if this eats a negate.
Probably has to, right? Like, this is all you have going on. If it doesn't eat a negate, then you're still dead around another blocker.
Yeah, like what else are you using your negate on at this point, right? I think
it resolves.
Malloy's been pretty content to just keep making tokens each turn and not cast spells. So, I mean, if you don't go for the negate there, you're probably not going to have another chance to cast it before this game ends.
I don't think they're... I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Trying to decide if they want to cast Borrower or if they want to Scry. The eeny, meeny, miny, mo seems to land on Scry.
2 more do-nothings to the bottom of the deck. Another Expansion Explosion.
Wow. But none of these cards do anything.
That there, the like scrolling through the library, kind of annoyingly flicking at the cards that were bottomed, makes me feel like Wappa does have Flame Sweep in the library and has been digging for it. That's what the Scry makes sense. That's what the Thassa's Intervention makes sense. Yeah. So I can understand the annoyance.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't kill him here, but it's pretty close.
Oh, did he forget to make a 1/1 at the end of turn?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully that doesn't come back to punish Josh, who had a pretty clean win this game otherwise.
Yeah, I think still has it, though. Holy smokes. I wonder if you fight over this.
Wait, is it Josh's end step? Did he skip combat accidentally? What happened here?
Oh, wait, he must have.
He did.
That was the oops. I know there's a Reclamation. I don't think this Reclamation's lethal, but...
No.
And well, it's just going to meet an Aether Gust, right?
I can't believe he misclicked through combat. I think he's going to win anyway.
Oh. That would be an ultimate feel bad. To like spacebar too quickly.
All right, here's the negate.
All right, who has more disputes? It's Malloy. Well, at least he hasn't. Well, actually, there's these expansions.
Exactly, but he also needs the token for lethal.
Yeah, that's true. But even if he puts his opponent to 1, like it puts Wappa at a position where he like can't ever mess up and let a token through, unless he finds an Uro and starts stabilizing.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe misclicking through that attack could be this could cause some serious damage here. But they're eating. I mean, Malloy's eating a lot of resources out of Wilderness Wreck. That's really tough to just throw away here. The Wilderness Wreck is going to resolve. think.
No,
it won't if he doesn't want it to.
Yeah, he can dispute back. A dispute can get expansioned.
And then he wins with the second dispute, the final dispute.
Yeah. I mean, this is like control mirrors of old, right? Like nothing happens. There were things happening with the tokens, but no things are cast. And then there's this flurry of a counter war that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, and there's the concession from Wappa. Let's see if the players decide to change anything up for the next game. Yeah, it looks like Wappa didn't have any flame sweeps in their deck.
Oh, interesting. The way they were playing really convinced me that they did. I wonder if they reconsider. I like how both,
I don't think so. I think that game was just an anomaly.
I was going to mention how I like how both players have their decks named, indicating their net decking. We have Red Bull Rec versus Javier.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an absolute flurry of a counter war at the end there. Holy smokes. I can't wait to see how this last game plays out for all the marbles.
All right. Decided to bring in a couple copies of Night Pack Ambusher.
But no flame sweep.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm not convinced the flame sweep's good here.
Yeah, that could have just been an aberration. It might have also just been that even though it's a minor difference.
A hideous hand from Malloy and a very good hand for Wappa.
Yeah. An all right 6, though, Malloy finds on his mulligan.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have the disenchant for the Reclamation on the other side of the board.
Ooh.
I think you got to ship that.
He leaves it on top despite not being a land. I guess with 2 Shark Typhoons, you think, your Lukkas are powerful enough that you can cycle into something? Like cycle the first one for 0, cycle the second one for 1, go from there?
Yeah, I think that's got to be the plan here.
Oh, I guess you have an Omen. You don't have to cycle for 0?
Yeah, dig for some terrains. Hey, there you go. And one's a castle. Oh, he bottoms. Interesting.
Being a little greedy, but that's okay.
Pays off for him. Finds a temple. However, with no counter magic here, it's going to be interesting. Like, this Wilderness Reclamation will resolve in untapped lands if Wappa decides to go for it. Now, whether he does that, I'm suspecting not. I think it's more likely to just see an Earl here with a dispute held up. Or if Wappa wants to be really safe, just, double counterspell held up.
Yeah, I don't mind just shipping things back here and holding up Chemisters inside, actually.
Yeah, just start digging through your deck. Wait till you can safely resolve the Wilderness Wreck. Because once you have the Wilderness Wreck, it feels like the Lukka deck is just kind of doomed.
All right, so we can see some intentions here from Josh. It looks like they want to, from Malloy. Looks like they want to make a 1/1 Shark, untap, and then play Lukka. But that's not going to get past this negate.
Oh, are we going to see it? They're going to play the Wilderness Wreck, holding up a Mystical Dispute and get disenchanted.
Oh, what a beating. It is an instant.
I don't doubt that's what we're going to see, but
yeah,
it would be
with access to deck lists and with how safe Wappa's been playing, Wappa just passes back.
I think I would have liked playing the castle there instead of shocking.
No cycle on the Typhoon either to set up for the Lukka. I mean, I guess you're intending to just not cast it.
I think what's happening is he's bluffing counter magic here. But I don't know if you want it. Yeah, I think I would have played the castle there, though. Because your life total is starting to get pretty perilously low.
If it is bluffing counter magic, maybe you feel that just playing castle makes your opponent think that you're intending to just activate castle, whereas shocking in a land with no activated ability automatically makes them think of counter magic and sells the bluff.
All
yeah,
right.
for sure. That's true.
Wappa going straight to end step there and discarding Uro to hand size. Not bad.
Combo.
Starting to make some land drops here. Oh,
2 lands off growth spirals.
Chat has caught up to Malloy accidentally skipping combat, it seems, considering Benson's comment of Moto player learns Arena.
Yeah. Just these shark typhoons doing some work though. Doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah, this matchup just becomes a war of tokens.
Yeah, you definitely just take the trade here, try and stem the bleeding a little. You're buying time to try and set up a counter war, I think, for this wilderness wreck.
Yeah.
But you got to be really mindful of, wilderness wreck, but then you could get Lukka. You got to be really careful here. This one's actually on the wire. This is a really close game. Wilderness wreck hitting some really nice land drops off these growth spirals. I've never done that in my life. It must feel great. I just brick.
Yeah, another Shark Typhoon here. This one you can use to contest the 4/4 Shark. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, Wappa has a wealth of counter magic. It just is interesting to see when they feel they have enough lands to start deploying a threat and still defending it with their counter magic. Or if they even want to defend their threats with counter magic, or if those are reserved for stopping Lukka and whatever else Malloy casts.
Teferi going to draw out this negate. It's going to be nice, I think, here. And it leaves up enough to activate the castle. You got to feel pretty happy with this.
Yeah, it's a nice play. Forces Wappa's hand.
Also, again, it makes the Shark Typhoon unable to successfully trade with the 4/4, I believe. Or it trades exactly.
Trades exactly
with it. We see Josh bluffing the counter here, I think. He paused, knowing he can't do anything, but make him think you might have something. And he's been bluffing the counter spell all game.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to pay off for him. Interestingly, Wappa doesn't go for the Shark Typhoon here. I wonder if that's in response to these bluffs from Malloy.
That's what I mean. And a scry.
Yeah, why don't you just scry instead?
Leaving the shark on top. Kind of an awkward one to draw. You can see the frustration there, swinging that one around.
Wappa's running low on life total, though, if they don't start doing something about this shark.
Yeah. Oh, they're just being patient out there. I think they're just trying to stick this wreck.
Oh.
Yeah, this is really interesting. How Wappa's choosing to play this. This eats a full price mystical dispute, it seems.
Which you can pay for.
And if you pay for it, he just lets it go, continuing to bluff the counter magic. Or, holding up disenchant.
Mm-hmm. This is for 3, I believe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that dispute from Wappa there. If they pay for it, you can dispute again, and then your opponent will be tapped out. You'll have free reign to, play your Wilderness Reclamation, start making a huge expansion. Okay, and if they don't pay for it, well, then you're not getting Lukka.
right, Narset off
Holy,
the
this
top.
game is close.
Shocks in the land to play around the dispute.
I feel like this is going to be a, you have to copy this dispute before Malloy gets the chance to pay to make sure this gets countered.
But now Malloy gets to stop the Earl from drawing an extra card, I think, by playing out the Narset, or he can hold up Disenchant. This is a really interesting decision, right?
Yeah.
It is. Like you would suspect, considering the number of cards your opponent has seen, that they have a Reclamation, but at the same time, it's not confirmed. There is a confirmed Uro. And by fetching a blue source here and hovering over Narset, it looks like that's what Malloy's going to do.
Yep. All right, Narset hits the table. Let's see what it finds. Lukka or
Another
Omen
Lukka.
of the Sun?
I assume you just take Lukka here.
Is he dead now, though?
Oh, yeah, you've tapped out. You take 3.
He's dead.
And then a Reclamation kills you with this explosion.
Yeah, he's dead.
This was so close from either time. Wow,
I
really
think-
well played by Wappa, using their life total almost entirely to buy enough time to resolve a lethal explosion. Going after Narset, I mean, I guess is Josh is dead anyway.
Right? 5, and then another 4. 13. Oh, wait. It's not lethal, is it? It's too
No,
short?
I'm seeing 10. I see 10. Ooh, if that was a miss lethal.
Yeah, I think it's 1 short.
It was,
Ooh,
yeah.
that was just, it's one short. That
one
was just
short.
a snap attack at the Narset. Wappa probably kicking himself now as he realizes that he's got to play this game for another turn.
No. Right? I'm not doing the math wrong here. It's a 1 off.
I'm pretty sure it's just 11, yeah. Or for a 10, sorry. Because there's 5 here, and then with 9 other lands, you can put an extra 5 mana into it, so it's just 10, yeah. And look, it's, yeah, opting to just make a shark now, having accidentally sent those 3 damage at the wrong spot.
But you can Tails End the Lukka, correct?
Yeah. That's why that card is there.
So Josh should search for something with Omen first, right?
You can Tails End Lukka itself, right? Not just the trigger? Because it's a legendary spell?
Yeah. I thought that's what we were going to see.
Yeah, me too.
And now Josh is also at the point where I think he should have omened first. He needs to search for interaction. And a wilderness Rex. Well,
yeah, now I think as long as Wappa's not too scared of whatever this mystery last card in Malloy's hand is, he can ignore Lukka, attack face, and then finish him off with an explosion. Depending on how this combat step goes, might not even need to cast the Reclamation, can just expansion. But we're probably going to see them be careful here and only commit, as much as necessary.
Josh pretty frustrated. He couldn't find one of his Dovin's vetoes this game, which would have put him in an absolutely excellent position.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that card this match.
You should do it because you only have to do it
for
6. Josh is only out here as to Mystical Dispute, and he can't find it off.
Well, I mean,
land.
His other out
has 5 land to pay for it.
Omen of the Sun would have been a pretty big punish there. But
yeah, Omen of the Sun could have been a huge punish.
And the veto late when you'd have only one
veto off the top. Wow.
All right. Well, congrats to Wappa ending Malloy's undefeated streak and taking down the DWC Organizational Ikoria Championship. Congrats to him.
Yeah, so I'm going to message Wappa, ask if they can do an interview quick. We can hop over to coverage B, and I'll get them to unmute themselves.
pretty good now.
Yeah, congrats on the win.
Thank you very much. That was close.
Yeah, that was a close game. We think you could have won maybe one turn earlier, which I'm sure you also realized, but I understand wanting to kill a knife out there.
I didn't count before I had swung in at Narset because I
Oh yeah, I mean
think
we've
I
all
had
been
lethal.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so close though. I've counted it a bunch of times, and I'm not even in the match. And I was thinking, oh, is this for sure? I'm not sure. So in the match, I would have missed it too. Completely understandable. But yeah, really well played, really patient. How'd you find the deck? Yeah.
I've been playing different Reclamation decks since I started. Basically since I started playing Magic. And Temur Rec just comes naturally to me. I picked it up for the Red Bull weekend though. I was playing Elementals last few weeks.
That's nice.
But,
What
not
motivated the switch?
I lost 3 Lukka matchups in a row.
That'll do it.
That'll be
Yeah. I've played 9 games of Lukka in this tournament, over this tournament and the Red Bull Untapped.
Oh, yeah.
And I've dropped 2 games total.
Oh, wow.
That's a really good
Nice.
record against the best deck in the format.
I'm like 9-0.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said you played this in the Red Bull as well. I noticed your deck list was called Red Bull Rec.
Yeah.
I had jokingly assumed that meant you took it from someone else who had played in Red Bull. Is this your own brew of Reclamation, or where did you find
No.
this deck?
So I'm in the MTG Melee Discord.
yeah.
And I frequent all the different little groups, and because they have different groups for each deck. And so just like looking at what other people are using, and like their different variations on it, and just coming to like, okay, this one seems the best. I'm trying out all the variations. Let's test more. Cool. Done testing. So yeah, mostly the list comes from there.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I guess the other stereotypical question everyone does in winners interviews is there anything clearly you're happy with the deck, you did very well with it, but is there anything you'd change if you were to play this tournament again?
Look.
Hello, Wappa?
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Sure.
I don't.
Maybe Sally can pull up your deck list on stream as well.
Yeah, I did. If my stream's still on, I think it is. The Night Pack Ambushers never came in really, so I'm not that impressed with them. I feel like they're a necessity, but I really want to cut them. If I can find anything that I can cut them for, I probably will, because I don't bring them in against the Lukka decks because of how many Aether Gusts are coming in now.
Yeah, what matchup are they for?
A lot of Lukka decks weren't running Aether Gust, and so they would go in then. And then they go against any aggro deck as like blockers. But I think I'd rather just have more removal. If I'm not bringing in versus Lukka and I'm only bringing in versus aggro, I think I'd rather just have like another Flame Sweep and like another Aether Gust.
Yeah, that makes sense. Some of the lists for Reclamation that I've seen play things like Storm's Wrath, which is missing here from your list. Do you think you don't need it? Because a lot of the aggro decks are sort of Lyris decks, right? Where 2 damage does about as much as 4 damage.
Yeah, 2 damage is basically the same as 4 damage in most cases. I prize the instant speed over the sorcery speed a lot more. And I'm running 2 Brazen Borrowers main deck. So I can play around with the thing that grows, the 1/1 that turns into a 2/2 and then pings when it dies.
Dreadhorde Butcher.
Dreadhorde Butcher, yeah. So I can like bounce Dreadhorde Butcher with 5 different sources, the 3 Aether Gusts and the 2 Brazen Borrowers.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if it does get too large, you can reset it and answer it with, Shock or Flame Sweep.
Yeah. And the only other matchup I would theoretically want it is the Cycling deck, but I'm not killing Fox with Storm's Wrath most of the time anyway, so...
Fair enough,
that's true.
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right. I guess maybe a lighthearted question then. What was your favorite play you made today? Any sweet moments happened during the Swiss, or maybe the top 8 matches we didn't see?
The whole line against against the Luris in the semifinals. That felt very nice. Like the playing my other Uro to sack it so I don't get that active treason or claim the firstborn.
Yeah. Like
that was
sick.
When you
saw
said
you call us out in Twitch chat because we got it wrong at first. That was a really good play.
Yeah, like I was saying on when it happened, when it happened on stream, I immediately jumped to thinking, oh man, that was a misclick. But then as I thought about it for 10 more seconds, I was like, wait, this guy's just big brain, and I'm just over here not even considering active treason off the top. So that's a really sweet play for sure.
If I had enough mana to still I was gonna die to it, but like I played it later because I had enough like lands to blast down the oven, so that I don't have to worry about it getting sacked as well. So like that was my safety net valve later. But that entire like line of I thought I was gonna lose into winning was very amazing, very sweet.
Yeah, that we tuned into that game too, and we thought, oh, okay, well, it's going to a game 3 at least, so coverage will go a bit longer, and it completely turned around, and it was a really sweet play. That game was great.
Yeah. Sweet.
Besides that, I liked catching every single Lukka deck and beating them. That was.
Yeah, that's gonna be a highlight. Just doing really well against the best deck and the most popular deck in the room. Maybe calling it the best deck is wrong now that you've been smashing them.
I think the Temur Rec into Lukka is difficult, and you need to have a lot of mastery over your deck. This isn't like a favored win rate deck that you can just pick up. You need like the reps in with Temur Rec that you wouldn't necessarily need to in a lot of other decks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Even like I usually notice which decks those are because as I'm trying to do coverage, I'll suggest lines that the player doesn't do, and then they win, and it becomes clear that I would have lost. Like there were a couple games I was expecting you to hard cast Shark Typhoon and start trying to make sharks that way, and instead you never did. You just cycled. So yeah, clearly a deck with a lot of decisions that you know very well.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, so I guess to wrap up this interview, what's the last thing people usually ask? Any shout outs? Anyone you want to thank for support? You mentioned the MTG Melee Discord where you got the deck. Anyone else you want to give some props to?
Just my friends that are watching. I linked it out to a bunch of people, so I'm hoping they stay. But besides that, I just like every tournament organizer that has to deal with all the BS of early rounds. I feel for you guys.
It's always a lot of fun. Trust me. But you
every single early round, it feels like okay, well, this is gonna take a 2-hour first round 1. That's fine. I'll chill while everyone else is raging.
Yep. That's how it goes every time. But we appreciate you sticking with us and battling it out. Thank you for coming and playing our event, and congrats again for taking down the whole thing.